yesterday, I guess I sent you guys a video during the break. Did you guys see Bam Adebayo at the game yesterday with Strus is loose and Gabe Vincent?
I did not. Yeah, I did not know this until this morning that those gentlemen were at the game. Obviously, I was there. I didn't see them, but yeah, cool, good to see. Wanted to be Bam.
Yep. It's they look all vaxxed up and having some fun.
Yeah, LFG, bro.
You know, like getting loose, Leroy, with a little baseball action. Fish performing in front of Bam Adebayo yesterday. You know,
nice game.
You know, maybe he looks at Adam Duvall and he's like, I'm gonna take some more shots.
I'm gonna be all or nothing.
All or nothing. That's how it's gonna roll for Bam. Strus, you don't need it. Strus is not shy. Like, you put Strus out there. I mean, Strus would take 40 shots if he was Bam. That's how he would roll.
Strus is watching the game. Is like, why are these guys taking pitches? Why aren't they just swinging at every ball that comes their way?
Why? I don't understand. Why is there patience? You should just go in there and cut loose. That's how the Strus goes. Strus is not shy.
Dude, for real. I remember that 0 for 9 against the Lakers. He didn't care.
I'm trying to remember like the funniest Marlins interaction with the Heat. I think it's got to be it has to be all involving Loria, because wasn't there a game where D Wade got stuck behind home plate but with Loria? That had to be horrible for him.
Or how about on the flip side when Loria was at the Heat game and LeBron ran him over?
I remember that. And then he gave hats to all the LeBron had no idea who Loria was, because why would he? And I think Loria ended up sending hats to everybody in the locker room. That's when they just came out with their new uniforms and all that type of stuff.
I remember that.
But like, could you imagine how awkward it must be for Dwayne Wade to have to sit in a game next to Jeffrey Loria? I mean, it just what's your favorite art, Dwayne? You like Monet?
Well, you know, he does own a vineyard and makes wine.
Wade? I don't know if he was into that back then, bro.
Oh yeah, and you didn't get any.
Yeah. That's okay. He's on him and his wife are on the cover of a magazine.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a little celebration the other day with for his ownership in the Jazz. That little Jazz logo in the flower garden. It was pretty.
Don't say that.
Don't say the facts.
No, pretty. I feel pretty.
It was pretty. I don't know. We're not gonna be shamed by you.
Or how about if we're talking about Heat interactions? How about Jeter? And apparently, his first week as the owner, getting shown on the TV, getting booed, and then Jeter made a Dwayne Wade tribute on Dwayne Wade's game, got booed off the face of the arena.
Yeah, well, because he was trade stand, but the worst part of that was that he skipped winter meetings to go to Monday Night Football.
Oh, Jay Cutler!
Wait, do all the owners don't go? They just have representation.
But that was his first year owning the team.
That was his first year. Year, because he was the face of the team. Yeah, it was a bad look.
Really?
I mean, it's the one thing not to go to winning, but to go watch Jay Cutler on Monday Night Football.
Like, as long as business is getting taken care of, and
don't go watch Jay Cutler.
Huh?
Don't watch Jay Cutler.
Hey, don't miss winter meetings for Jay Cutler.
If you're missing work, don't make sure Jay Cutler's not involved.
Yeah, I remember having all these arguments back when it happened. That's fine. Don't supplant your time with watching Jay Cutler.
You'd be amazed. You guys would be amazed at how like other sports
beat the Patriots
view your sport, right? Because we all have a level of, I don't know how the hell you do that, right? Because to me, as a whole, the most athletic people are basketball players, right? But I've seen guys and played with guys that do what they do a lot better than some of the guys that play basketball. But just overall, the ability to dunk, to dribble, the hand-eye coordination, and then shoot is just amazing to me. And I've had basketball players say to me, how can you take that beating? I say, put a mouthpiece in and tighten your chest strap, buddy. Like, we think of that as no big deal, and they're looking at it like, wow. And then we both look at baseball and say, oh, I have a blister. I'm on a DL for 10 days, right? Can't say it about basketball anymore, because pretty much everybody, I've never seen this, in the last few years, that teams have now valued the playoffs and winning a championship more than anything. So if you got a boo-boo, we gonna ride this thing out. But I think it has more to do with guaranteed money.
I'm sure.
Like, do you paying a guy $30 million a year and he walking with a limp? You like, hey, we don't want this lingering on, so take a seat.
I'm sure that has to be part of it. I wonder though. I wonder as far as them watching, like who they were most impressed with yesterday. I guess it's got to be Duval or Miggy Rowe.
Oh, Miggy Rojas was awesome yesterday.
Miggy Rowe's on fire.
Like, yeah, and him making plays at short, and he raked in those 2 hits.
Yeah, but the thing about baseball, when you see a baseball hit in a short hop or something like that, dude, if you tried that, you think that, oh, I got good hand-eye coordination. Some of those baseballs hit so hard, but I guess if you're around it all the time and you've dealt with it all the time, that, you just kind of get used to it. But that's one of the most impressive things to me. Or you're talking about a ball hit. Just imagine if you're standing in one end zone and a guy hits a ball right at you and you can't figure whether it's going to go over your head or it's going to be short. That's one of the most impressive things to me is how they can get a bead on a baseball hit a football field away.
Kid, your Miami Heat. They will be back in action tomorrow night against a team they don't beat, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think they've beaten them since 2017. So
is that
dicey.
True?
Yes, yeah. It's somebody. Yeah, they haven't beaten them since Jimmy Butler was on the Timberwolves, which is funny. It's a funny thing. It's an interesting thing. So it was to actually play off of something that was funny from Schmeeth and Schmolnick last segment, where he says Hawk does 50 minutes of Heat all the time. He just reads Ira Winderman's column. I actually do have something that I disagree with that Ira wrote with regards to Bam Adebayo. And he says, first of all, in regards to Bam, we need to move off the term max player. Ultimately, it's nothing more than a contractual term. Getting the max often has much to do with leverage more than any metric computation. What Bam is a max level complementary player, and you need those too. Is he ever going to be the leading man? His lack of go-to moves makes that unlikely at the moment. But he's what you need alongside the max player in order to win in the lineage of Chris Bosh, Kevin Garnett. No, not in the way of putting him in the level of pedigree at the moment, but those players also needed a max level wing talent alongside to succeed at the highest level.
Siakam.
I just think, yeah. I mean, I think he's better than Siakam, but whatever.
You do?
Bam? Yes, I do.
I think they're different, but yeah, I would say watching the progression of Siakam, that's where I hope Bam's skill set will get to.
I mean, I get you probably from an offensive standpoint and what he can do spreading the floor, but I mean,
Bam's better defensively.
I mean, again, with the playmaking and the defense, which is things that we always forget when it comes to this stuff. And maybe that's what I was getting to is as far as that. But I just want to point out one thing. I just want to point out one thing that I really, really think is important for Heat fans to just wrap around their mind. And I know you guys know I'm a Bam guy, as he says. I'm a real one. But I really just want you to put this in perspective when it comes to that type of stuff, because this team right now, who is the leading man, Leroy?
Jimmy.
Obviously, right? Jimmy Butler. He's the go-to guy. He's the alpha. He's the star. This is Jimmy Butler's season when he was 23 years old. Okay? Played every game that year. All right? Played 26 minutes a year. Do you want to know how many points Jimmy Butler scored a game that year?
Probably like 10, 11.
Not even. 8.6 points per
8
game.
points? Okay.
8.6 points per game that year for Jimmy Butler, and when he was 23 years old. If you want to come at me with, hey, what about 24? 13 points a game. 13 points a game for Jimmy Butler. He wasn't the go-to guy. And by the way, I'm not blaming Jimmy for that. That's just what Jimmy came into the league to.
No, I've said this all the time. It's the 6th or 7th year where, okay, you're there.
Right. And so when we say a guy is a complimentary, a max complimentary player, don't put him in that box yet. Because it wasn't too long ago when people thought, he's a nice role guy. He's going to be a nice guy who can come in and defend guys, get you some alley-oops and type of stuff. Like, I know it gets frustrating, and I know that the more expectations come with the money, but there's also a very, very early age here for a player that still, I think, has some growing to do and should be allowed to do. Because you're acting like the guy was some kind of a liability in the playoffs last year, and that ain't the case. That ain't the case when it comes to him. So if you're going to come sit here and you're going to say, well, Jimmy Butler is the alpha max guy, well, two franchises didn't believe that because they decided we're going to invest into Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins before we give Jimmy Butler a max contract. We're going to break off and go with a youth movement here in Chicago before we give Jimmy Butler a contract. And it wasn't until Jimmy Butler got here and was 29, 30, 31 where people are like, oh, yeah, you know what? Jimmy Butler probably can be the best player on a championship team or could be the lead guy on a championship team.
Is that a result of the organization or a result of the player? Because
I don't know.
Like, think about this. And this is why I say this. This is the only reason why I say this, because I do think he's a number one. But there are certain players in this league where no matter where I put them, they can be a number one. Okay. And Jimmy has played on two other teams. And
by the way, I also forgot Philadelphia. Which also didn't invest in him, and they decided to go with Ben Simmons.
And I would say he's close to what he is now in Philadelphia.
And Tobias Harris.
That was the one team. That was the one team that he was, he was the guy.
It's just, so yes, I agree with your point where it's like, yeah, you're 6'7", you'll truly know what a guy is. And I just think that, with Bam, there does have to be, some level of, hey, you don't think the guy is a go-to move. You don't think, all right, well, you didn't think that he could shoot the ball either. And then this year he's dropping mid-ranges like he's Chris Bosh.
Yeah. Like, no, absolutely. But here's the problem. And here's the problem with all sports is that you see a player, no matter what sport it is, have success. And you throw all that other stuff out the window. So you see Bam in the playoffs score 40? Right? You see him do that, and you're thinking, we're here. And great players or good players are going to have moments, but they're still maturing.
Right.
And so I get all of that. The one thing that I will say about that is this. The problem or the only concern that I have has nothing to do with Bam's talent, has nothing to do with what he does on the basketball court. It's mentally. Mentally, you got to think of yourself in a certain way to be able to do some of the things that you say eventually he'll get to.
But I also think that comes with time. Like Jimmy Butler would, has talked about, like, he didn't think of himself as a star when he got into the league. And plenty of guys who do think of themselves as stars,
right?
Justice Winslow still can't hit the broadside of a barn. Dion Waiters not in the league. Like, I don't think that mentality thing is always necessarily the thing either. I think that, but I do think that, was it stunted a little bit by the idea of, hey, you're just going to get some backup minutes here for Hassan Whiteside for the first couple of years.
Well, I'm not even worried about those first couple of years, but I'm saying now, if there's one thing, it's not even the shooting. Okay, if there's one thing that I would like him to take from Jimmy Butler, is this: getting a better feel for the game. That means that you have to know when you have to be the guy. You have to know what is needed in certain situations during the game. Because look, Jimmy will kick it out, and then look at his team and say, you guys are shooting bricks. I got to do something to get us some points. Whereas Bam will keep doing the same thing. And I always wonder, okay, that's the thing I want him to pick up on, not necessarily all the other stuff. I do believe range is going to come. I do believe he handles the ball phenomenally. He's a good assist guy. He's a guy you don't need to handle the ball all the time, but he has that skill. But mentally, as far as him, maybe it's just a young thing, a youth thing, where he hasn't been around it enough. I want him to be able to identify what is needed during the course of a game and be able to go to it sooner?
Just to give everybody an update on where things stand right now after last night. So the Celtics won. They beat the holy hell out of the Magic, 132-96. So they are back tied with the same record as the Heat. Of course, they have 2 big games coming up against Miami this weekend, which is probably going to, that's probably going to end up determining who's in the play-in, about whether or not the Heat can take both of those games.
Where do they stand now as far as
right now it's 0-1. The Heat lost on that Peyton Pritchard tipping.
So it's like a 3-game series basically.
It's a 3-game series down 0-1 basically right now with the Celtics. So you have the same record as them. The Hawks, they beat the Suns yesterday, so a good win for the Hawks. They blew them out 135-103. And so the Hawks right now were able to move on. Actually, if you look right now, because the Knicks do on paper have a pretty brutal schedule, it's possible the Hawks right now might be set up best to get into that 4th spot. But they're 37.
Yeah, you're talking about teams that are good also, right? Like we just chalk it up to saying, and I don't know how good the Knicks really are. They've been playing well.
Yeah,
we're just talking it up to say, oh, they got a tough schedule. Well, what if everybody's looking at the Knicks and say, you don't want none of that smoke?
It's possible. I'm just letting you know. I'm just saying, they legitimately, like, they got blown out by the Nuggets last night, but there's no shame in that. The Nuggets are good. They have probably the MVP on their team in Joker, who what is he calling his dunks now, Robbie? They called Tiger dunks. Is that what he's calling his dunks? Strange thing with him, man.
What?
Anywho, yep. So Knicks right now 37-29. They're in the 4th spot. 37-30 are the Hawks. Right behind them for a half game. Then you have 35-31. You have the Boston Celtics. He'd have that same record, but of course, like we mentioned, the tiebreaker. So coming up tomorrow night, your Heat will take on the Timberwolves, and then they have Boston, Philadelphia. That's their last home game next Thursday. Then Milwaukee, in Milwaukee, and then to end the year in Detroit, which inevitably will be a loss.
I hope UD plays, man.
After the Heat go on a run and win 5 in a row and set themselves up to avoid the play-in, they'll lose to the Pistons and then have to go play the Hornets in a play-in game.
And you're gonna be so pissed.
Oh, I'm gonna be so mad.
Can we get UD 1 minute before the season's over?
Spo says it's happening. Spo says it's happening because they got to count the season, Robbie. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Oh, really? So if he doesn't play,
doesn't count.
Yeah, he hasn't played yet.
He hasn't played a minute.
They played a game with like 6 guys.
Oh no.
Well, I think he was out for
-1.
Didn't he have the Rona?
He did have to go through health and safety protocols and missed a few games.
Okay, so maybe
he was out for a while.
That's what we calling it now, huh?
Oh,
-1.
This is how we're gonna end a Thursday.
Wow.
No, I'm saying that's what we call safety protocols.
You act like you said it the second time. It's better.
Why didn't UD play safety protocols?
No.
You know
-1 for Sass.
Wait, what are we doing? I'm just saying.
We're doing.
I'm saying that's what we call in COVID. We're not calling it COVID. We calling it.
Nah, that's not what you were
Safety and
doing.
protocol.
Nah, you're trying to get out of this. I see
No,
you.
I'm
Nice,
not.
nice try, Hoist Gracie.
No, I'm not. I'm really not. Like, okay, I'm just figuring, half your team is out. I mean, can I get a little run?
-1.
-1.
Talk to you guys tomorrow.